What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. My name's Fatal, and today I'm going to be giving you kind of an in-depth guide of ULTRON, how his kit works. We'll go over all of his abilities, potential combinations, and stuff like that. And then at the end, kind of give my opinion on him. We'll have some gameplay as well, so you can kind of see how he works. So let's hop into the range. ULTRON, as you know, is a strategist, but he plays a lot kind of like a DPS or an off strategist like Mantis or Adam Warlock. If you go to his abilities, you'll see here, he's got his Q, his ultimate. He summons ULTRON drones and fires sprays, damaging enemies. His primary fire unleashes an energy beam. His shift, he flies quickly in the direction of movement, and then he's in a temporary accelerated state. For his E, you can command a giant drone, follow an ally, constantly healing allies within its radius. And his right click, he can summon drones to grant bonus health to allies within range, centered on himself and the allies marked by imperative patch, which is his E. He also has a team up with Iron Man, giving him an extra healing ability, and we'll kind of go over that and why I think that, I don't know if this should be a regular ability of his, but why I think that he is most viable with the team up and not so much without. Here we have his primary. There's no crit, and you'll notice you can hear kind of at the end a big kind of like boom when he shoots. That is going to be like the base, the most part of his damage. Like, it's a big burst. So if I miss that first part of his shot, but I hit that last part, it still gets a really big portion of burst damage. If you hit all of it, it does a decent amount, but hitting that on moving targets is not as easy as you would think. It's kind of easy to miss, and with how much mobility there is in this game, you can kind of see why it might be a little hard to dish out large chunks of damage. It also has fall off. So if I come over here, this is his shift, by the way, and as you can see, it has an 8-second timer. So once it's over, it goes to an 8-second cooldown. So I think from 5 to 15 meters, you can two-shot squishies. But if you go to 20 meters, it starts to have fall off. I lied. It's 25 meters. It's not 20 meters. I lied. It's 30 meters. It's not 25 meters. It's 30 meters. There we go. Okay. I was trying to remember. So it has damage fall off at 30 meters. The nice thing is that there's no range, though. So you could go anywhere and still hit anybody. And I believe that fall off is only at 30 meters. So it has an instance of damage up to 30 meters. That's consistent and the same. And then after 30 meters, it falls off. But I don't believe it falls off any further than that. So we're going to come over here and I'm going to show you guys how his E works. So you can apply it to an ally, and then you'll see that it tells you how many people are within the radius. That's 3. I don't know how this bot counts, but I guess it does. It does more healing to whoever it's attached to. It works like Mantis heal, where it's very gradual, which is why his healing isn't very strong. And then whoever is in this circle, if they're low and you press your right click, it gives them shield. It's not very much shield. It also gives ULTRON shield, even if, like, whether he's in the circle or not, it will give him shield as well, but it's not a lot. We'll turn on ability cooldown and spam it, and you can see that normally his health is 250 and it takes to 325. So it gives 75 bonus health and then gradually declines. The nice thing about this drone is that it can't be destroyed, so there's no real cooldown on it, and you can consistently move it around allies as much as you need to. So whoever is the lowest is who you're going to want to place the drone on, because that's who's going to get the most healing. So drone management is going to be really important for playing this character well, but he still, he doesn't do enough healing to be able to play in a 2 support comp with the compositions that are being ran and ranked right now, like in high elo, hell, even probably in pro play, because there's just so many characters that do so much damage and he's just gonna get outclassed all the time. That being said, he still kind of has a place in the game, especially being a flyer. He's resistant to dive. Magic is gonna have a hard time getting to him. BP is gonna have a hard time getting to him. Psylocke will be able to deal with him a little bit, but still, with him not being on the ground and with her recent nerf, she can't really one-shot combo, and she has damage fall off from a distance, so playing up high in the air is gonna benefit you. His right click, his primary, does not heal. So if you guys were thinking that, unfortunately, doesn't work that way, but it's okay. And then his ultimate does an insane amount of burst healing. So get your teammates up really fast, but then again, doesn't really do that much damage. And also the blast radius on it is not very large for the healing and for the damage. So I think they need to increase that blast radius a little bit. I don't necessarily think they need to increase the damage that much. I think you could get way more splash damage if the radius on it was bigger. But nonetheless, it's pretty solid. He has a pretty solid kit. So for his team up ability, I'm going to let this bot die. I'll show you how it works at first, at least. So basically, it does piercing. It does piercing, healing, and damage, just like Luna, Jeff, all that jazz. It does a good amount of healing. So if you were to attach your drone here, they would get healed up pretty fast. And the best part part about his team up is how much it will help him farm ultimate. Because it has Pierce in a spot where, you know, you're doing multiple instances of damage. So especially in a choke, if you have a lot of teammates and a lot of enemies, as you can see, that's one enemy, one teammate, and then maybe another enemy behind. Just 3 people. And it charged his ultimate up to 40% within 8 seconds, I think is how long the ability lasts. So within that time frame, it charged your ultimate 40%, which is crazy. And that's why I think ULTRON is really only going to be that useful with his team up, because he'll be able to absolutely farm his ultimate if he plays in a line, and just be able to constantly cycle his ult and do a ton of damage and a ton of healing. I know his team up is on like a 20-second cooldown, but you'll be able to ult like multiple times a team fight if you play this correctly. One thing I want to touch on with his drones is that there's a range limit. So you can't like put it on a diver and be like, oh yeah, go do your thing, and have them constantly be sustained by your drone, because you go like 25 meters away or 30 meters away, it eventually gets called back if you go too far. It also gets called back if you break line of sight. So eventually, if I break line of sight, it gets called back. So that is something important to note, just because you want to make sure that you constantly have vision on whoever you're putting your drone on. If you put it on a diver, it can be good if you communicate with your teammate, like, hey, I'm going to put this on you. Eventually it's going to come off, but like it could be really good for enabling them for their initial engagement whenever they try to take a fight. But the minute it comes back, you're going to want to place it on another teammate immediately. So just as long as people know that that's how it works and that's how you want to play around it, there is merit in that for using it for those types of situations. If you have like maybe a Star-Lord that's going to go in an E, and like you have to fall back to cover, or a Psylocke that is going to get ready and try and go ult or something like that. Could be something to keep them alive long enough so they can actually get their abilities off and try and get that kill or get that ult off. But the minute it comes back, you're just going to want to place it on one of your tanks or one of your other supports. And because his right click is such a small cooldown too, I think you're gonna want to be spamming this ability as much as possible when your team is like low health. Like, it's not something that you want to save for the perfect scenario. You just kind of want to give your team the ability to survive longer in certain situations as much as possible. So thank God that's on a little bit of a lower cooldown, and that his drone can't be destroyed or taken away, because that would be a little rough and it would almost kind of make him useless. Okay, so my final thoughts on ULTRON is that he sucks. He is only gonna be good with the team up. I definitely think he's going to be buffed, if not before release, not very long after, because he just doesn't do that like good enough damage. For somebody who does such little healing, he doesn't put out enough damage to actually have that much impact in a fight. His healing is just as bad as Mantis's in terms of amount. It's a slow, very slow, gradual. The only thing that's better than Mantis in terms of her healing is that it's an AoE, but that AoE is only good if your team is clumped together. At most times you'll be healing two people-ish around the same time, because there's usually, you know, 2 tanks that are close together, or like you and a support, or you know, like one of your tanks is peeling for one of your supports. 2 to 3 people at most are going to be being healed by your drone at all times. I would say most of the time it's going to be between 1 to 2, 2 to 3 max. But as far as damage goes, I'm going to show you guys just how hard this is to hit consistently. Like, I have pretty good aim. Like, I'm not a god-given aimer. I'm not Shroud. I'm not Timmy. You know, I'm not the best aimer in the world, but I have decent mouse control. I've been playing on mouse and keyboard since 2020 and been aim training like off and on, so I do okay. But if we go here and we just go random movement, random generation, and we'll do like mid-range. As a healer, you're going to be playing kind of back most of the time. So if we start the simulation, this is how hard it is to hit his right click, all instances of his right click at all times. You have to get that last burst damage, but you see how much like it misses and how unimpactful he is if you don't. And like these are just bots moving like left to right and just kind of strafing. Imagine you are trying to hit a flanker like a BP or a Psylocke or a flyer, somebody like Storm or another ULTRON, people that like melee weave to make their movement all crazy. Trying to hit these characters, unless you have like godlike tracking, and getting that last hit off is gonna be pretty difficult. And if you're not able to get that last hit off for that burst damage, you ultimately just aren't gonna do a lot of damage, on top of already not doing a lot of healing. Like, you just kind of are just there. You're just like an annoying bug. But I will say, even with as little healing and damage ULTRON does in comparison, especially in comparison to fucking Luna, by the way. I don't know if you guys know, but Luna is absolutely busted and is an insta-ban this season. if you have even the slightest bit of good aim, she can two-shot. And I think it's ridiculous. I don't know why she has this much damage, but you guys will see. And on top of the Hawkeye team up, the fact that that goes through walls and freezes, does damage is ridiculous. But Ultron, in comparison to many other characters, doesn't do enough healing, doesn't do enough damage. I think the best thing he has going for him is the fact that he can fly and has a little bit of mobility. And in that sense is kind of anti-dive because he can't be dove and he can kind of keep his teammates up. Not very well, can't keep his other supports up very well, considering the fact that, you know, he doesn't heal very much, but he can save them from one-shot combos if you're aware enough. But yeah, that's my opinion of Ultron. He's pretty straightforward. There's nothing like too special about him. And it makes sense. They can't drop every character and have every character be broken or be meta. It just wouldn't really make any sense. But he eventually will get buffed. I don't know when, but I'm gonna show you guys the gameplay now. Hope you guys enjoy it. Get some realistic feel of how he actually plays in game if you haven't watched any other guides or haven't seen any of the early access streams. But with that being said, I appreciate you guys and I'll see you in the next video. He does farm ult very fast. Damn! Do Luna Cloak, Adam, Ultron, Mantis. Oh, Loki? Yeah, Loki's good. Yeah, see, he doesn't do enough healing, chat. I wasn't using my team up there. Yeah, he's just like Mantis, except you gotta hit that last shot. He is kind of fun though, not gonna lie. He is pretty fun. I would say have a passive to where he does something for his healing output. I mean, he has his team up, which I think is where they went with that. Your drone management is going to be like most important ability for sure. That ult is hard. Yeah, it does not last long enough, Brad. It does not. It needs to last like way long. It does great burst healing, but the problem is that once like if everyone's too spread out and it just doesn't do enough.
This is real firepower. Judge, jury, executioner.
Damn.
Your powers are mine. Let's clobber and die. Hell unleashed.
No.
Grand finale. He stopped them in their tracks.
No. Yo, that's crazy.
Judge, jury, executioner!
It's now or never. Stop them. Only 60 seconds left. Better stop that vehicle.
This is real firepower!
Don't give them another inch. Or else.
Yeah, he does not do enough, bro. Dude, this is against fucking bots, chat. This is against fucking bots. Like, that's how bad it is. They're gonna have to buff him. They're gonna have to buff him. He's either gotta do more damage or he's gotta do more healing.